Hey there, Danny here. Welcome to my ramblings. So I keep seeing all this stuff about inflation and this and that. Truth is, our government's been screwing us for decades. They've been allowing big business to do whatever they want, and we don't matter. It's now coming out, and people's eyes are opened up. Some people want to believe that's because of what Biden's doing or because of what Trump said or did. The whole reason, the honest to God reason that people's eyes got opened up was 2020. It was the lockdowns. It was the pandemic. It was COVID. That forced people to see things differently. It forced people to open their eyes and see what was really going on out there. And I can tell you, because I started DoorDashing back then, I can tell you that there were a lot of restaurants that were making a hell of a lot more money during that pandemic, during the lockdowns, than they ever made normally before. A lot of them. And this was straight from some of the restaurant owners that I talked to, or managers. So, it's all about the money and the greed. Here's the problem, though. So, we keep adding more things that we're going to spend money on. But where's the money coming from that they're spending the money on? It's coming from taxpayers. Here's the problem. And here's why, in my opinion, I really don't care for politics, because most of the people in politics aren't that bright in my mind. Here's why. Because we're building all this stuff and we're banking on, we're going to have all this money and all these taxes. What happens when the baby boomers die? There's no baby boomers left. Tell me how you're going to cover all the taxes. Honestly, how are you going to cover all the taxes? There is not enough of us Gen Xers or any of the generations beneath us. None of the younger generations, none of them can compete with the amount of children, the amount of people that were baby boomers. We're going to have an overrun of assisted living places and senior places, because once they all die off, my generation, there's not enough of us to continue those businesses, to continue generating money from it. So what's going to happen? What are they going to do with those buildings? What's going to happen? You're going to have a bunch of people that aren't going to have a job. Why? Because it's not needed. They're pushing all this other stuff. I honestly think, in my personal opinion, that everything that's going on right now, although everybody thinks is a horrible thing, it is financially for a lot of us. I see it as a good thing. It's a blessing in disguise. And here's why I think it. Because our government and big business are going to get a very, very rude awakening when the baby boomers die. I have debated for a long time to do this video and to put it out there. And the reason that I have debated this is because I have not seen, and there might be other people out there that have said this out in social media or whatever else. I just haven't come across them yet. And I've been afraid to put this out there because I'm afraid that if big business and government hear these things that I'm saying, that they might try to screw the situation up. But the truth is, this is a blessing in disguise, and here's why. Because once all the baby boomers pass, we don't have enough people to sustain all the stuff that they have built and all of the jobs that have been created for the elderly, aging baby boomers. When my generation gets there, there's going to be a lot of people without jobs. There's going to be a lot of nursing homes and assisted living places that just can't find people to rent. It's just not going to happen. Why? There's not enough of us. This is simple math. This is simple numbers. And you've got all these people out here protesting about do this and do that. You've got strikes, you've got everything else. Nobody is thinking what's going to happen in the future. What's going to happen when all the baby boomers die? Really? Do you have any idea how many of them own cars? What's going to happen seriously, what's going to happen when the baby boomers die? There is not enough of my generation or younger generations to make up for that. So what's going to happen? Really? What's going to happen, guys? Kind of a thought, I think, is a blessing in disguise. It's going to force everything to be switched over. It's going to force things to change. It has to. These big companies, Wall Street, all the rest of it, what's going to happen? Really, what's going to happen? Baby boomers are dead. Now you don't have them as stakeholders or anything. What's going to happen? You're going to lose a huge amount of revenue when baby boomers die. It's going to have to reset a lot of shit. Nobody's looking at that. I remember back in the early 2000s, I knew some people that were talking about going into nursing and some other things. And I have nothing against doing any job. By all means, do it. But I remember saying, what happens in 30, 40, 50 years when all the baby boomers are gone? What's going to happen? We're not going to need that many doctors and nurses. We're not going to need that many cars. And with the way that the economy is now, if things don't get under control with the spending and the huge divide between the head honchos of companies, our government, and the middle class and poor class of Americans, that divide gets more and more. What's going to happen? They might have money, but they're not going to be bringing in a ton. There's just not enough of us to do it. And the other thing that I don't think anybody's thinking, Gen Xers and the younger generations do not think like baby boomers. We do not think like them at all. Baby boomers had a belief that, you stayed with a company, you got your pension, you got, all this stuff, you were loyal to a company. Well, when I was in my 20s, they stopped pensions. They started introducing 401ks, which I thought was a huge scam. What do you mean? I have to put my money in there? The company might match up to a certain percent, and then you're going to gamble it in the stock market? Oh, but we can put it in low risk. But we're still going to gamble your money. Instead of giving you a pension to retire on, we're going to gamble your money. And I remember, I was in my 20s. I remember thinking, well, this is a scam. This is ridiculous. That's what they did. There's no retirement for us unless we've done it ourselves. There are several people that when the stock market, when it all crashed in 2008, a lot of people lost a lot of money. What do they think is going to happen when the boomers are gone? When the baby boomers are gone, what's going to happen? You won't be dealing with those type of people. And I'm going to put this out there, which I know that we're all on this inclusion thing. We've got to accept everybody and everybody's got to be the same and alike and whatever else. We all have to be equal. Can you imagine how boring life would be if we were all the same? If we lose our uniqueness and our individuality, what kind of a life are we living? That's being dead. Your body is living, but your soul will be dead. Because the honest to God truth is, we need the uniqueness. We need the individuality. We need to be different from each other. And all this inclusion shit, it's just forcing us to accept things that we don't want to accept. And the truth is, it's not going to last long. It's not going to last long because we don't all want to be the same. We don't all want the same thing. And the truth is, I remember when I bought my house way back when I was in my second marriage. And I remember about 6 months after I bought it going, is this it? This is it? Now we what? Just work and sit here and wait to die? Well, you can buy nice things and go have vacations. Okay, so I worked my butt off to make sure that my credit was good and to buy a house just to sit here and wait to die? And I remember thinking, well, this American dream is a jip. I don't want this for the rest of my life. I was in my 30s. Early 30s when we bought that house. And all I thought is, I gotta stay here till I die? If I make it to 80, oh my God, that's a lot of time just to sit here for the next how many years? No, that was not what I wanted. I wanted freedom. I wanted to go explore. I wanted to see things. And when the tiny house movement came in, oh my God, I was in love. People who want to move and not be addicted to being a good consumer, because that's how the CEOs and the presidents of the companies and stuff are getting rich. Because we keep purchasing the stuff. We're willing to pay those fees, those astronomical amounts of money. If we stop doing that, and we really focus on the fact that this is just a status, and they've brainwashed us into believing that we need this status because it'll make us look cool. To who? Who are you looking cool to? The inclusive ones. That's who you're looking cool to. And as long as you're hell-bent on the consumerism, they own you. They own you. You have to work 40 plus hours, if not 2 or 3 jobs, just to keep up with the things that you want. Because they just keep bringing the price up and the price up. They don't have to. I get that whole inflation thing, but they don't have to. They don't have to if they don't want to. That's the part that nobody talks about. They sell you this, oh, well, supply and demand, and I get what all that is. I understand that. But that's big business speak. That's literally big business speak for, we got to keep you guys buying stuff. We got to keep you thinking that you need the latest telephone or you need the latest new pickup truck that's $80,000. Because if you do this and you purchase these things, you will prove that you are successful. Successful to who? What is success? They've taken away our individuality by doing this. And the tiny movement really, really, really opened my eyes. Then I got into the minimalist lifestyle. And then I started doing DoorDash. And I realized what freedom was. And then my mom got sick and passed. And I realized, why am I staying in this apartment, paying for this? I'm working. At that point, because I took loans out so I could survive, I do DoorDash. I spent what little nest egg that I had before when Mom was sick. I spent most of that, and then I didn't work for 6.5 weeks taking care of her. And then another week and a half to clean out her apartment, have the funeral, and get back here. I took out loans. So I was paying my rent, all my utilities. I had my car payment. I had the loans. And everything was going up. Gas prices were going up. Everything was going up outrageously. And I was working 60 to 70 hours a week. I would go a whole month without a day off. because I had to get that money so I could keep a roof over my head. And when they went to raise my rent in March of 2022, I decided, and I had already been thinking about it before then, but when that happened, I knew right then, I'm done. I'm done. And that's when I started looking. I had already been crunching numbers on RV stuff because I really wanted to get into this lifestyle. I've wanted to do this since I was in my 20s. But I started realizing I'm done. I'm done with the consumeristic lifestyle. I want a simple, easy lifestyle. I found my freedom. And then, when I bought the RV, I was chasing after my peace. And I found my peace. But the thing is, they tell us the things that they want us to hear. They convince us. Through the media, through commercials, through everything else. Through advertising, they convince us that we need these things. Because if they didn't convince us of that, would you be spending that kind of money on something like that? Nope, probably not. So they've got to convince you. They brainwash you. They're manipulating you. And they don't have to charge the fees and the rates that they do. They really don't. They can choose to not take... They can choose to have less revenue if they wanted. Oh, but they don't care about their customers. They only care about their stakeholders. They only care about the people who hold the stock. They don't care about you and I. They don't care about their consumers. Not at all. The only reason they have to chase money is because they've got to keep stakeholders happy. You're getting price gouged on everything. Inflation is going up horribly because they've got to take care of their stakeholders. They don't care about you. They don't care if you're struggling. I can tell you that when I worked at Walmart, I couldn't afford their insurance, and I was a department manager. And I can tell you that most of their employees can't either. Most of them are sitting on some sort of aid. Now, if they've been there for a long period of time, they're probably making some decent money. And if they were smart, they do have some stock. But they don't care about anybody but their stakeholders. They don't care about the consumer. They don't care about... You're the customer. Consumer is the customer. They don't care about you. You're just money in their pocket. They don't have to raise prices if they don't want. They could decide that they don't need to make that much money in order to keep us from going into a recession again. But they can't do that because they make more money and they've got to keep the stakeholders happy. We don't matter. Inflation and all of that is just a scam in itself. I don't care what anybody says. It really is. It was 100% invented to scam us so they could get rich and we would get poor. And I really think that all of everything that's going on right now seems like it's horrific and it's heading down a horrible path. I think it's going to turn into a blessing in disguise. Because these large companies are really going to get a wake-up call when the baby boomers all pass. My generation and younger, a lot of us don't think like the boomers. There's a few of us in my generation, the Gen Xers, that still believe in the loyalty and all of that. A large majority of us don't. And when you get into the younger generations, well, they know damn well that it's just a job. Even if it's a career and they're being paid well, they know. They'll be replaced in a week if they were to die tomorrow. So, wait to see what happens when all the baby boomers are gone and how things change drastically. And I'm thinking that whole that whole shift during the pandemic and opening the American citizens' eyes more is really going to play a contributing factor in bringing us back to something decent. And I think a lot of it starts with one, term limits. You're a public servant. How are you in there for multiple times, multiple years? Because they have insider trading, even though they tell you that they don't. Then how come other citizens, how come average Joes aren't that ain't happening to? It is for some, but not all. I'm not talking to the ones that have successfully gotten rich in the stock market, just like our government public servants. I'm talking about the average Joes out here who are working their asses off just to try to pursue a dream that big business and our government has totally stripped from all of us. And now they want to put it on TV how they're going to do this whole rental thing, the rent-to-own type thing. And they're trying to put it to us like it's a benefit to us. Embrace the tiny house lifestyle. Embrace minimalism. The truth is, once you do, they don't have any say anymore. They only have say because we're allowing it. We're allowing them to brainwash us with the ads. And we're buying into it. Because I look at cars now, and some of them are outrageously priced. Why? Because they can. People are going into debt buying them. There are some people that can afford it. People are going into debt buying it. There's going to be a big turnaround when the baby boomers die. We're not going to have enough elderly people to be filling up these assisted living homes and the nursing homes. We're just not going to have enough people. So that's going to mean a lot of those people are not going to have a job because they're not going to be needed. You're not going to have as many people buying things because, well, baby boomers are gone. We don't have enough. We don't have enough people to supply the same generation of or the same ability of taxes that the baby boomers have paid. We just don't. And it's all going to crumble. And when it does, I think it's going to be a blessing in disguise for those of us that aren't sitting in the top places. So that's all I got to say. I hope I made some sense to you. These are just my ramblings. Anyways, have a good night. Love ya.